Mhm. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Katherine McCord. And I'm so happy that she said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
I am doing lovely, Caroline. Thank you so very much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Oh, me too. And I would love to introduce you to the audience. Of course, you are the founder and president of, how do you pronounce this, Titan Management?
Titan management. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. You nailed it.
And that is a people operations consulting firm. And you are the inventor of the first anti-bias applicant tracking system, an international speaker and published author. And you are also the founder of the Neuroverse, a nonprofit dedicated to neurodiversity, embracing your own physical and neurodiversities. You are committed to expanding humanity through integrity, inclusion, and innovation. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Katherine McCord.
Thank you. Again, you did very good with my intro. You nailed it. Most people usually stumble over the whole neuroverse word. They
Yeah,
kind of struggle with that one, but you nailed it. Good job.
there was. Thank you so much. There, because I pronounced it before, but the name the Titan, but it's like Titanic, so it's easy. Titan, I don't know, but you
Hopefully it
helped
won't
me.
sink. That's what that's not what we want.
Yeah, no, we don't want, but yeah, I know it's the material or the metal thing, but sometimes I'm insecure with my pronunciations. Thank you so much for helping me out. And my first question is, what inspired you to create the world's first anti-bias applicant tracking system, and how does it help organizations promote diversity and inclusion?
That's a great question. So I I have multiple diversities myself, but that's actually not how I ended up there. So over the years, working in leadership and HR and recruiting, I started realizing how much of the hiring system is broken, how much bias is associated with the way that we hire, especially with resumes. So, like Harvard has put out articles about this, LinkedIn. There have been multiple studies about it. And I just started seeing that it's time to move forward, and our hiring technology, which is what an applicant tracking system is for anybody who doesn't know. It's where we collect resumes, we can move candidates to different dispositions, things like that. And that basic design hasn't really evolved since they were first created in the 90s. So there are some cool new features, but the basic layout and functionality is the same as in the 90s, which is utterly insane to me, given all of the advancement that we've had. And hiring is being done in a new way. So it was just time for an update, right? So um, between needing to fix the bias issues and wanting to just have a better structure to the process, and to the technology, I designed without any technology background, designed what it should look like, and then had people who know how to code build it. It worked beautifully. We had wonderful response of people saying, you know, this is a much more logical layout, because as somebody who done recruiting and mastered that skill, I knew how hiring managers wanted to see a candidate represented. I knew it mattered to them. I knew the things that would come to their minds first, and that's how we organized the information that was output to them. So people loved the layout of it. Candidates liked the flow better. They felt better represented than they did using a resume. It was really cool feedback. It was really, really neat. So basically, um, the technology, to answer your question specifically about how it helps with DE and I, it helps to take out, actually it completely removes, as far as we can tell, bias from the application stage. As much bias as could be removed without fixing human brains. We've 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 removed bias from the application process, not the hiring process, but the application process, and it helps you focus on the things that actually matter in hiring.
Wow, I understand because I understand technology, and you emphasize the difference between application process and hiring process. Wow, this is amazing. I never heard of this before. Now I understand, or
Yeah.
I get a
Yeah,
glimpse.
it's different, right? It's different. The application is just getting it to the people and seeing the basic stuff, and the hiring process is all the interviewing and the onboarding and all that kind of jazz.
Yes, it's that what AI cannot do for us yet.
That is true. It is not anywhere close yet, but we never know.
Yeah, we never know. Okay, my next question. How has your personal experience with neuro and physical diversities shaped your approach to people, operations, and leadership?
Well, it, my experience with my neurodiversities is very different from a lot of the experiences of other people. So my parents really just steered into it. I never was treated like something was wrong or that I was broken. And I was always given lots of autonomy and treated like my own human. And so I had a very different experience. And it was when I came out into the workplace and started realizing that other people hadn't had that experience and that they didn't necessarily know to take care of them, how to take care of themselves because of that. And that was really sad to me. So I started researching and finding ways to fix that, right? And to work with people to learn to take care of themselves and to work with organizations to do their part in taking care of their humans, while they were at work. And then I also, because of how I think and because of how I work, I I constantly want to do things the best possible way, right? The most efficient, most effective way of doing things. And it would make me insane that people would just want to stick with the old way just because, right? I couldn't comprehend that. I didn't understand. So I set out and I started getting neuroscience certifications and studying and reading all these different studies to understand why this was happening. And and I figured out it's the biological ego mechanism that we all have. It's a defense mechanism. It's part of fight or flight. And so then I was like, okay, so that's what I have to fix to get people to do things the right way, the better way. Um, so, and not just for me. And then I started realizing, oh, this can help with inclusion. This can help with hiring. This can help with every single step of leadership because then we're not just digging in based on our own perceptions and our own experience, right? So I started actually working on methods and I reached out to professionals all over the world and we all kind of work together. Now I have a process that I actually teach that teaches you to recognize and then turn off that biological ego mechanism to respond in curiosity. And it actually allows you to have much more intimate and much more productive conversation and understanding of other people. And all of a sudden, other people start making way more sense when you when you do this. And so I used my neurodiversity in that way too, to find these solutions and to use them. And so now my whole leadership and people operations approach is centered around turning off that ego mechanism, responding in curiosity, and then universal design, because I firmly believe, and people think that, I mean, because you're in technology, they think that it's a one size fits all, and that's not what it is. It's do the best you can, design broadly, design mission focused, and then leave room for flexibility. And that's it. So yeah, so that's kind of how I used everything for how I work.
I love that. I to shut down the ego mechanism. You said something
Yeah.
like that in
Yeah.
order to evolve curiosity, and that helps to
Yeah.
implement new processes that you might resist because of your perspective, which
Mhm.
is whatever polluted, let's say polluted with your your
It's true. It's true because we're all biased, right? And we're all limited based on what
bias.
we know, what we have experienced, our way of doing things. We're just limited. And this is cool too because it also makes you more healthy because when you have that ego response, your body is under stress. So it has too much adrenaline, too much dopamine, and too much dopamine is a bad thing. And then so you can start having like heart palpitations, you can get stress rashes, you can get gut issues, all kinds of things. And so when you learn to shut it off, you're so much healthier and so much happier. And you just start realizing, oh, okay, like all these things that used to stress me out, they're really not that big of a deal. I can do this. Like I can just talk to this other human, have a conversation, and it'll be okay.
Oh, I never heard of this before, of course, and this is why we speak today. But I think it is what I always was looking for. Now I found my solution. I put together all the pieces because I talk to a lot of people, and they tell me the concepts, let's say, or they talk about the problem, like, oh, we
Yeah.
have to solve this, but no one had a solution. And now you come along and you tell me about that this is possible?
Oh yeah, I'm super solution focused. Like that's part of my neurodiversity. I
Yeah.
am super solution focused. That's just how I function. I can't wallow in problems. I can't do that. Um, and so yeah, and I'll just run you through. So basically what you do is I teach people to intentionally activate the response so that they can recognize it and feel it and move it into the conscious brain from the primitive brain. And then once it's in the conscious brain, right, we can learn to shut it off. But once you recognize it, then you spend about 5 minutes teaching yourself a very simple grounding exercise. For me, I use just pinching my fingers together like this. For other people, they use all different kinds of things. But what we do is we process that when you do that, it means that you're safe, you have food in the pantry, there's a roof over your head, you have oxygen to breathe, and that everything is okay. And what it does is it actually decompresses your body. So what happens then is after you spend that 5 minutes or so programming your body, when you do that one thing, it will release serotonin and calm your body down and just be like, I'm okay. And it turns off that ego mechanism, that fight or flight. And then the next thing you do is you ask a question or you ask a follow-up. And I like to use my mother. I'm a terrible artist. I can't draw to save my life, like anything. Even my stick figures are terrible. And so when I was little, instead of shaming me about that, my mother would say, I'd bring her these ridiculous looking images, and she would say, tell me more about this, so that I didn't feel bad. I was just telling her like what had come out of my imagination, right? And then we could just, and that's what she would then discuss with me was more my concept, not what was actually on the page. Um, and so that's kind of what I do is I teach people, say, tell me more about this. Because think about it, if you're in leadership and somebody gives you output that is completely different than what you think you asked for, instead of shaming them or saying, I was clear, why didn't you do this? Say, tell me more about this because maybe you were unclear, or maybe they realized what should actually be done versus what you asked. Who knows? But ask, you know?
Thank you so much for sharing. It's about
Yeah,
communication and also, let's say,
yeah,
non-judging. Now I have to say what comes to my mind, and I think we are in the flow. And also, lack of communication is
yeah.
also. But you mentioned it before that this is what you wanted to solve, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to fix
Yeah.
this shutting things down just because I wanted to fix a human limitation of communication because we struggle to communicate with each other because we're all so very different, and so learning to properly do that. It's funny because after I teach this class, I teach it, to professionals. I've had people come back and go, "Oh my God, I'm getting along so much better with my partner, or I'm getting along so much better with my children. Thank you." You're welcome. See, just when we learn to communicate and we take ourselves out of that stress, that undue stress that we have, and just talk it out and we drop assumptions, it works so much better.
Assumptions and expectations, for example. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, a whole new world opens up that this is possible. Oh, what you
Mm-hmm.
just shared, thank you so much. I think this
You're
is
welcome.
big. This is
Thank
big. So
you.
my next question is, can you share insights from your work at the Neuroverse and how it is transforming perceptions and opportunities for neurodiverse individuals? You already started.
Yeah, so we're yeah, well, I did, I guess, already started explaining that, but it's really cool actually because it's a brand new little order, and we're not going to go like crazy with it, but we have resources online where people can find accommodations. They can find providers that are neuro friendly and that address specific needs. They can find all kinds of interesting information. And we've also started having events. So we just did our first virtual summit, and it was really cool. It was in the metaverse, and we had like this whole little world built out for us, and we had like little virtual booths where people could learn about neurodiversity. They could again find providers and see video, see art by people, and even listen to music, and all provided by neurodivergent people. And then we had presentations, and it was over 2 days, and it was extraordinary to me because a couple of people, 100 people showed up, and they were staying for hours at a time and really absorbing the content and really learning, and it was really cool. So it was really neat. So we're putting together events with actionable advice and things like that, and that's kind of where we're focused right now. But I do have some other ideas for the future, including that Grand Central Station has invited us to come there and have a live event in New York, which we're really excited about for next year.
You said Grand Central Station. This was one of my manifestations when I visited. I have to tell you the story. When I was the first time in New York in 2019, and it was my mother inviting me because no one was going with her, and I said, why not, why don't you ask me? So I was there with my mother. It was a challenge, of course, but she never heard of Grand Central Station, and I said we have to go there, and she was so amazed by that.
It's
So I'm happy
beautiful.
that you are there. It's the best.
Yes.
Or
It's
you will be
gorgeous.
there.
It's a wonderful, beautiful, historic building. So yeah, I'm very excited, and they're so supportive of the work around neurodiversity and in spreading inclusion. So good on them. They're a great place. I love it even more now.
Me too. And who knows, maybe we meet there, over
Be
there,
all
when
for
you have your event.
it.
So where can we find you, and do you know when the event is happening already, or?
I don't know the exact dates. It will be sometime probably in late August, early September, that time frame, but you can follow the website of the Neuroverse. It is jointheNeuroverse.org. You can also just follow me on LinkedIn. I'm all over LinkedIn. I'm one of like 3 Katherine McCords with my spelling on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty easy to find. Um, so you can follow me there, or you can visit my company website and learn more. So we just started really focusing on event accessibility and doing things like that. We're also focused um, uh, on doing a lot for neurodiversity, even in the professional realm right now. So you can always reach out to me there, and it's titanmanagementusa.com.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm not speechless now. I feel like that because I have so many information not many people have, and you are willing to share with us, with the
Always.
audience. Thank you so much. Thank you for our interview. And now it's time for your last thoughts. Oh, I have to correct myself, because this is what I say, okay? Time for your last thoughts to the audience. But I decided just one episode ago that I call it now, and I have to do this, your first thought to the audience, because it opens up the dialogue. I knew you would love it.
I do like that. That's cute. I like that. I do.
Your
And
first thought to the audience.
my first thoughts to the audience is very simple. Learn to master your ego mechanism and respond in curiosity, because it will exponentially change not only your career, but your life in all the right, beautiful ways. So take that time, do that little bit of work. It is extraordinary what a difference it makes, and how it actually starts to change the synapses in your brain and expand your mind. Literally, it's worth it.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm impressed. We are connected now. Please reach out to Katherine, check out the website. And yes, thank you for our interview.
Thank you.
And see you in the next episode.